All right, let's get this going. There we go. What's going on? What's going on, Snipes, Charles? Appreciate that. Let's see. Let's get this open. There we go. There we go. What's up, MK? Santi, that was quick. That was quick. Let's see how we do in this live. I didn't go live for what, 3 days in a row? That's crazy for me. Crazy for me. We got some stuff to talk about. I just started the stream, though, so I'll let some people get in here first. What's going on, guys? Is Indiana supposed to get a bad... It's supposed to get bad this week. And the next Laddie, what's going on? Yeah, I've been busy. I usually don't take this many days off. Yeah, we'll go over that in a second. This is the SPC right here. Really nothing really pointed out for Indiana except for day 3, Monday morning into Monday afternoon. You could see, you have a marginal down there in southeastern Indiana. We'll discuss that in a second. I don't have any on YouTube. I have them on TikTok. Member perks. Well, on YouTube, you get members on my YouTube get access to my Discord. Although I just took a couple days off, so I have to get on that. What's going on, Brenny? Speaking of my Discord, I got to open that, actually. I got to look at that right now. Speaking of my Discord... Been a little quiet. Going to check on a Northwest Illinois for Northwest Illinois to Florida. What, are you doing a drive or something? This is severe weather outlook for Monday. All right, we got some people in here. We'll get started. Tornadoes? Maybe. We'll talk about it. I don't think so, guys. This is our severe weather threat for Monday. Right now, it's not looking too intense, and I'll tell you why. I've had a back off, and I've felt sick for like 3 weeks straight now. How is that even possible? So let's look at this. Here's the setup. First of all, we got the 00Z NAM. Let's get into the 00Z NAM. I like to look at dew points first. Why? Because dew points is what allows our moisture to rise and release that heat that fuels our thunderstorms. The dew points, and I said this in my video earlier, the dew points aren't really doing anything for me here. up there in the Northeast. I think this one looks like an underperformer so far, but we'll see. It's not asking. It's not saying it's going to do much. So, you can see up here, getting into, we'll say, mid 50s, low 60s. That doesn't shout really bad severe weather to me. Our cape's not doing much either. Most unstable cape. We got a little bit. The 00Z actually puts a tiny bit more up here. Let's look at this photograph. Nah, not much. No surface cape. Yeah. Or sounding, sorry, not photograph. So what's going on in NTX? So, yeah, I mean, I think Pittsburgh will be fine. I mean, I just... Here, let's look at our reflectivity on the 00Z NAM. We'll take a look at the actually at the latest Euro. Let's see if I can get any sort of good sounding out of here. This thing, let's go into, here's what we'll do. We'll go to Sigtor params, even though I think there's going to be none. I think there's going to be none. Let's take a look at our Sigtor params. Let's go to our 00Z NAM for that. Tiny bit. None of this is really Sigtor. You'd want to see 1.0 or above if you think you're going to get an EF2 or above. A little bit in West Virginia. Appreciate that, NTX. Ohio, Laddie. A little bit of Sigtor in West Virginia. Not too much inhibition there. This sounding looks okay. The photograph looks sloppy. So I don't think this is going to be a big tornado event. I don't know if we might not even see a tornado from this thing. On Monday. We might not even see one. Looking ahead, I do think we're going to get a day 6 or day 7. I'll explain that in a second. Let's take a look at our Euro real quick, and I'll get to more questions. Let's look at what's happening with our jet stream. People are predicting end of April is going to really, really fire up some storms here. So you can see what's beginning to push down here on the Euro as we get out towards the 18th and 19th. Starting to get a low. Starting to get kind of some troughing action. Digging down here. Low pressure beginning to build. We're going to have some decent temperature gradients out here. Let's go to our 12Z Euro so you can see this a little bit better. You know, this right here could be a significant event. Significant severe weather event. It's not too far out. We're talking 19th, 20th, 21st. So, you know, this could be a couple... This could be... Wow, what is going on here? We've got, like, thunderstorms all over the place in a zonal flow. Very interesting look here. Why is this thing lagging for me? Weird. Wow, this is... What is this? The Euro's doing some weird things here, guys. What is this? Look at this just mess of storms. This could be a rough period here. And we've got a high pressure settling in here. This would, I mean, we've got some crazy stuff happening at the end of April. That's the first time I saw that on the 12Z Euro, so I need to dig a little bit more into that before I give you guys my opinion. Ali, I appreciate that. Thank you, NTX. I mean, just for fun, we can look at the Cape out there. This is so far away though; it's not going to make it's not going to be too accurate. The Euro doesn't do good with Cape, even once it gets closer. What's going on, Casey? But just for fun, we'll look at the unstable Cape out here as we get out there. Look at that. Look at this nonstop explosion of Cape across the center of the country. Look at this. Look at that. Where's this? Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City. We've got 5,500 surface Cape. Jesus. This would be out towards the 22nd of April. Still not a crazy effective layer Sigtor, but I think that has to do with low helicity. It does. Low helicity, low rotation at the surface. This would be a massive hail day for OKC. This would be a gorilla hail day for OKC. This is far out though, but just an explosion of Cape after we pass over the central to eastern U.S. After once we get out towards the 18th and on, at least from what the Euro sees, you know, at least what the Euro see, and I'd be interested to see if the if the GFS agrees with that at all. We can check on that. Let me do this real quick. Let me fix my. There we go. Let's take a look at the GFS real quick and see if it agrees on that. Out towards the 18th. Oh yeah, I mean it shows a good amount punching through there too. Yeah, end of April looks like it's going to be active. Oh, what looked like a Phoenix? I definitely missed it. On the Euro. What's going on, Jessica? Why is Utah's weather so boring? It won't be in a little bit. You guys have had a ridge sitting over there, which means you typically have a high pressure sitting over your head, and your weather's going to be a little bit warmer, a little bit drier than normal. We expect that to change, though. Let's take a look at our jet stream. Take a look at our jet stream. Let's go to 500 millibars. And let's go continental. Sitting under a ridge right now. Sitting under a ridge. The east is sitting under a trough. This is why we're colder. This is why you're warmer. This is going to change, though. Watch as still sitting under a ridge. Still. Then boom. You start to get back-to-back troughs out east. Or out west, sorry. As we get to the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st. Look at this massive. Look at this thing out here. You guys are big ridge out here to the east. Some troughing out here to the west. End of April looks like a little bit cooler and a little bit more stormy for the west. Not really even the end of April. I mean, this pattern looks to start kicking in 18th, 19th, 20th for you guys out west. You can really see that when we look at the temperature anomalies. Look at our temperature anomalies out west. Very hot right now. The east stays cold, and then when we start seeing that troughing out west, look at all this cold air that wants to sit out west. So we're kind of going to switch sides. This is also why we're seeing so much severe weather at the end of April. Look at these temperature gradients as we get towards the end of April. You're going to start to see a big divide like this between the cold air and the warm air. Perfect for spring, for instability through the center part of the region, center part of the U.S. This is going to be big for severe weather. Son's birthday is the 19th in Louisiana. It's a little bit of a guess what's going to happen the 19th. That's like a week out. Right now, the Euro wants to keep Louisiana dry on the 19th. That could change, though. No problem, Jessica. That could change, though. So but right now, the Euro likes it dry down there in Louisiana on the 19th, which is good. Oh, sorry, MK. You were saying Thursday, Northwest Illinois to Florida. It's gonna be pretty nice on the southern part of that route. But if we're talking about up towards Northwest Illinois, you guys have the potential for a little bit of severe weather. We'll see. Probably just some range. We'll see. That looks like more through the evening hours, though, so it doesn't look too bad right now. The beginning of your drive could be a little bit stormy, but I wouldn't call that too severe yet. Brad, do you have a degree or did you teach yourself? I went to school. I went to school at Florida State for meteorology for 3 years, and then I ended up leaving and studied. I continued to study for, my whole life. I've had an obsession for weather since I was like 6. My uncle's a meteorologist. I grew up in South Florida. I went through a lot of hurricanes, and I actually went to school because I wanted to be what you call a hurricane hunter. The meteorologists who fly into the hurricanes, they drop their barometric pressure readers and they throw back the data to NOAA. So that was always like the dream. Nowadays TV meteorologists get overworked and underpaid. It's pretty rough. There's been thousands of meteorologists fired over the last year and a half now. So, and looking at the industry now, I'm like, that may have been rough. Just personal stuff happened in my life is why I left. You know, I'll probably finish my degree. It wouldn't take me that long to finish it. So I'll probably finish it. It's just, you know, you gotta pay the money, and I'm like, I'd probably learn some more, but I've been studying meteorology for so long. I mean, I would literally driving to and from work. I would always listen to college lectures on YouTube. I've heard meteorology college lectures from like every college in the country. So, but we'll see. I want to finish it. It's just I don't feel like going into debt. It's annoying taking the 3 years and getting that close though. So I probably will just for the piece of paper. Will severe weather come to Iowa end of April? Well, I'll tell you this. End of April looks very active with severe weather everywhere where you get severe weather. We'll probably have risk zones everywhere. As we get towards the 18th and 19th, you'll start seeing them pop out everywhere again. That's tough. MSU or OU? That's tough. I've thought about OU. I've thought about finishing my degree at OU online. That's probably what I would pick. Yeah. What's going on, Kelly? I appreciate that. L. Will. Ohio University. Ohio State. Well, Ohio State. What's going on, Mesomat? MSU. Well, Oklahoma. Does Oklahoma have an online meteorology program? It's about to get wild. Yeah, Matt, as we get out towards the 18th and 19th, it looks a little crazy, huh? What is this? Constant, just absolute barrage of severe weather. Pretty wild. The crazy thing, too, is we're not seeing these, like, big diving troughs, too. We're seeing a lot of we're just seeing a lot of just surface lows popping up everywhere. Interesting stuff's definitely happening on the Euro. The last 2 weeks, I think, was a warm up. We're about to be exhausted. We already broken the record for tornado warnings in a single season, and we're like halfway through, barely halfway through tornado season. Yeah. I think the final 10 days, 10, 11 days. How many days are in April? Oh, my, April's 29, right? 30? Oh, God, I forgot. I think the last 10 days of April are going to pop off. It does look like it's going to happen. The GFS kind of agrees with the Euro. The Euro's more aggressive, though. And March, most tornadoes ever, yeah. Isn't it odd, though, this weather? People say the weather's odd every year, anytime anything happens. I would say severe weather in the spring is never odd. Yeah, the amount we've seen. Well, but I wouldn't even call it odd because we know we have warmer. We know we have a lot of areas are at record or above record water temps to the south. So why is this thing popped up? What is going on over here? 1 second, guys. What is this? Turn off. There we go. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, where we're at right now in tornado season is crazy. It's way above what was expected. But the Gulf's baking. So, surprised, yes, not shocked. Confused. What's going on? It's I'm concerned. I'm concerned for May. I think May could be really bad. It definitely could. Is the Gulf above average? We can look at Gulf temps right now. let's look at Gulf temps. Blonde, I appreciate that. Thank you. 120. What's going on? I appreciate that. Yeah, let's look at the water temps. Let's look at the water temps in the Gulf right now. Let's do that. Here we go. Ocean analysis. Let's look at. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Let me. That's not what I want to do. I want to do tropical Atlantic. That's fine. Western Atlantic. Look at that. Everything's above average. This is an anomaly map. This isn't water temps. Everything's above average. Look at that. I appreciate you, Confused Bond. 68.79. What's going on? So yeah, that's just the anomaly map. Wait, you guys could see that, right? Right. Okay. Water temperature. Let's actually switch. Let's go to Western Atlantic. Ah, God, I hate Celsius. I hate Celsius. Yeah, of course. Wait, Sadi, did you ask a question? I mean, this is high 70s, low 80s water in here, so it's baking. It's only going to get warmer. Remember, you only need water temps at least 74 degrees Fahrenheit or above for tropical development. You could have tropical development right now in this region. Tropical development very rarely early on in the first half of the year comes from the Western Atlantic, though it always comes from the Eastern Atlantic. And that is because you have a lot of sand, dust blowing off of Africa. It actually helps. It actually helps lift moisture in the air. It actually helps give some buoyancy to moisture in the air, and you get these explosive tropical waves because of that environment. So you have a lot. You just have a lot of fuel out here. You have a lot more fuel out here in the beginning of the season. Halfway through, towards the end of the season, that fuel transfers out here. Thoughts on tropical storm in May? This is the year to have early tropical storms, that's for sure. Everyone was talking about us going into an El Nino for hurricane season, and I was like, what are they talking about? And the new Enzo update came out, and they kept us even farther away from an El Nino. Did you guys see that? Enzo forecast? What the? Why does it keep going to Yahoo? Why is it taking me to Yahoo? I don't want to go on Yahoo. Who uses Yahoo? Like, literally, guys, who uses Yahoo? I'm not a peasant. All right. Here we go. This is important stuff, guys. I know it looks boring. But, we ain't gonna be in no El Nino. There's gonna be a La Nina year, weak La Nina year. We're potentially still sitting in a neutral, and those are active hurricane seasons, especially when you're running above average for almost the entire Atlantic basin for water temps. La Nina means that the waters, well, specifically, most importantly, in the eastern equatorial Pacific, are at least 1.5 degrees Celsius below average or more. I've explained this a lot, but when these waters are below average, you don't have as much thunderstorm action down here, and instead of your jet stream holding onto that energy, it doesn't have much energy to hold on to, and it wobbles more to the north. What that does is it takes away a lot of wind shear and disruption in this region, allowing hurricanes to just la 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 come in here without being disrupted or weakened. So when these waters are cooler than normal, typically because of upwelling, you have a more active hurricane season for the states. This typically happens, and there's actually an argument of why it happens. They think we don't understand a lot about our oceans. They think that the currents just change. They're stronger and weaker year by year. It just depends. They go back and forth, which is one reason they think that shifts the water temps here. But the more agreed upon one is every year, every 2 years, or every 3 years, your easterlies, it would be your westerlies. Your trade winds pick up, okay? And what do these trade winds do when they pick up and they're heading out west? They pick up this warm surface water and they move it with it. Once this warm surface water is gone, what upwelling happens? Upwelling is, well, there needs to be water that replaces that warm water at the surface, and it's the water beneath it. It's the deep water that bubbles up to the surface, and now you have a big cool patch of water here, and your jet stream is very weak down here, and there's nothing to weaken tropical systems as they head towards the U.S. When there's an El Nino, it's warm here, and your jet stream is cranking through here, and you have all sorts of wind shear to help weaken hurricanes. We typically can see 2 to 3 times more significant tornadoes heading towards the states in an Enzo neutral or La Nina year, which we're going to be in. You can pile that with water temperatures that are well above average out here. Big recipe for a good hurricane season. There's one other thing that can make or break a hurricane season, though. Or there's a lot, but there's one other really important thing, and that's where the location of our Bermuda High. So there's a permanent high that sits out here in the North Atlantic, and sometimes it's close to the U.S. and it steers storms along it and then turns it up. So that's bad if the Bermuda High is close. Sometimes the Bermuda High shifts closer to Europe like this, and it steers storms as they come out away from the states. If our Bermuda High sets up off the coast of the U.S. with an Enzo neutral La Nina year with the water temps we're expected to have, we will have a record-breaking season, I think. That Bermuda High is gonna be a big deciding factor. I don't know where it's gonna set up. Blaine, Hannah, Taze, I appreciate you guys. Yep. What's going on, Doug? Cool to have you in here. Someone's asked about Grand Rapids, Michigan. No severe weather in your future. You're looking pretty dry, actually. Let's just take a look at our 120-hour quantitative precipitation for you guys. Pretty dry up there. Pretty dry in Grand Rapids. Pretty dry. You're going to have a lot of temperature swings here. Everyone out east is going to have a lot of temperature swings here. Cold, warm up. We got another little trough, low pressure system digging down in here in a couple days. It's gonna get cool again, then you're gonna warm up again. I mean, this is just classic spring here. The West is staying pretty above average for a while, but you guys get your cool down as we push through April. Very likely, we'll have a ridge setting up out east. Well, we'll see. We'll see. The GFS and Euro are doing a lot of crazy things as we get into the 19th and 20th out east. They don't completely agree. They both agree on a lot of potential for instability across the region in late April, unlike what we've been seeing the last few days. Yeah, guys, Doug Hetty just stopped by, or I think he's still in the chat. He was in that Netflix documentary about the Joplin tornado. He was the meteorologist there in Joplin who was working while that was going on. It's really cool. Talk about an experience. It's crazy. I mean, the tornado wasn't cool, but you know, you guys know what I mean. My birthday's on the 19th. What's happening then? Well, I need to know where you live. Appreciate that, Doug. We'll be in West Tennessee over next weekend. Will I see anything next weekend? Look, once you start pushing past 4 to 5 days, nothing's a guarantee. We can look at what's going on this upcoming weekend. Generally, we're a little bit more confident on temperatures as we get farther out than we are on precipitation, because temperatures, forecasting temperatures, it's usually over a larger region. Precipitation is more of a local thing. So West Tennessee, as we get into next weekend, there's a lot of stuff happening. Again, as I said, as we get towards the 20th, there's a lot of stuff that begins to happen out east. We're seeing a lot of energy. We're seeing a lot of moisture coming up out of the Gulf, and things look hectic. This is one of the most hectic time frames I've ever seen. We're just seeing, you're just seeing explosions of thunderstorms everywhere across the region. Not really even associated with a major boundary of colder, warm air here. Sometimes this can be because, we can have a lot of moist and dry air out here as well. But I would say West Tennessee, we'll have to see. I can't tell you that it looks too nice right now. This upcoming weekend, there's a lot of stuff happening in the region. I think as we get out here towards the end of April, we're gonna have one of those like 6 to 7 days of risk zones. I do, not to like make anyone nervous or anything, but the GFS and Euro have a pretty decent agreement that we're gonna see a lot of thunderstorm action out here as we get past, or as we push into, like I said, I mean, it really could start a little earlier, 18th, 19th. So I think we're going to see a period of a lot of disturbances. Will it be as bad as that string of storms? Well, you have to remember what we just saw was like, I mean, if you're talking about what happened where we had, what was it, like 700 and something severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings in a single day or in a weekend or whatever. No, it's not going to be. I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to be like that. But, we were looking at this earlier. I don't like talking about severe weather too far out, because there's going to be so much that changes, especially when it comes to like looking at Cape values and stuff. The Euro it changes its mind so much as it leads up to these events. But Cape, guys, convective available potential energy. So when you see these explosions of colors out here, these are areas where you could definitely see a lot of thunderstorms. But again, and we can see kind of this explosion of Cape on the GFS out here at the same time frame. And I'll show you that. I'll show you this on the GFS. Look at this. Look at these dew points as well. Really, really insane dew points. The higher your dew points are, guys, the more moisture that's in the air. Moist air is more buoyant than dry air. You got a lot of moisture in the air. You have a lot of ability for the higher your dew points, you have a lot of ability for that moisture to rise and condense, release that latent heat, and fuel thunderstorms. So you're seeing a lot of Cape as we get out here towards the end of April. You're seeing really high dew points on both the Euro and the GFS. Look at this, really explosion of dew points across the central and eastern U.S. This is very concerning from a severe weather perspective. So, yeah, we'll know a lot more about this in a few days. Again, we're still, we're talking like 100, 120 plus hours out, but pretty good model consensus there. We can go and look at the Canadian. Canadian throws all those dew points up there as well. It's not as aggressive, but we're going to see something here. I can guarantee you that. How severe is it going to be? It'd be irresponsible of me to tell you that now, because we don't know yet. That does look, yeah, I would say Tornado Alley, from what we're seeing right now, it looks like we could have a little bit larger of a target on Tornado Alley for some of these events than we've had this season. I agree. But we'll see. No problem, MK. I don't know why it's, let me see here. It like just showed me that message. I think I have to refresh that chat. Well, Tornado Alley is still where he said. What area is Tornado Alley? Tornado Alley is still generally, and I'm not going to do this perfectly, but it's this region. Tornado Alley is the same thing. It's kind of always been, but there's multiple alleys. You've got Dixie Alley, and you've got Tornado Alley, and then you've got Hoosier Alley and Carolina Alley, or whatever it's called over there. And there's been this talk, a lot of talk recently that Tornado Alley has been shifting east. Well, it's been shifting east for 70 years. It's nothing new. We've, I think, noticed it a little more drastically recently. But if you go back and you look up when they started talking about this phenomenon of Tornado Alley shifting east, I want to say it was like the 60s. It was like a long time ago. They're like, seems like a lot more severe weather's going out east. That's when they started talking about it. So that can have to do with, what a lot of people think is that has to do with warming waters down here. Feeding a lot more energy out east than out west. There's a lot of debates on what's causing it to shift, but it's been shifting for a while. Tornado Alley's not done being Tornado Alley. Not in our lifetime. I can tell you that. But we're getting a lot more frequency in Dixie Alley. Dry lines are a little confusing. Pivotal Weather does a good way, does pretty good with seeing where those are setting up. I'm on the Canadian. Why am I on the Canadian? Get out of here. Let's look at the NAM here. Let's see if we can see ourselves let's go to the Euro because I want to look a little bit farther out. A good way to get severe weather is to have cold and warm air collide. Okay, because your warm air is going to want to rise, your cold air is going to want to sink. Warm and cold air colliding is going to give you some instability. If you have warm air aloft, cold air at the surface, you're typically you're in a pretty stable atmosphere. If you have warm air at the surface, cold air aloft, you're typically in a pretty unstable atmosphere. Another way to get instability, though, is by moist air and dry air interacting with each other. These are two different air boundaries, and you can have some pretty good lift off of those as well. And you can see on here where the dry line kind of sets up out there. I mean, look at this, guys. This is way at the end of the run, so don't take this too seriously, but look at this. Look at these mid to high 60 dew points, and then you just have this pocket of dry air out here. This would be a really good Tornado Alley setup for bad weather. Now, this is probably not going to happen. This is 360 hours out, but this is a good representation of what a dangerous dry line looks like. This, type of setup between moist air and dry air can be just as significant for severe weather as, and you can see your temperature gradient here as well. This is the anomalies, but let me actually show you what the temperature-wise. So you get a big temperature gradient here, and you get a lot of warm air lifting out ahead of this front. Go Gophers, we can't win a game. They can win. They're going to do good this year. The blue and green is moisture and dry air. Oh, wait, the blue and green. Wait, blue and green. Wait, were you talking about on the dew points? The green is, they're just different. Look, they're just different levels of moisture. You can see, like, once you get into the blues, you're in the 60s. Once you start seeing purples, your dew points are in the 70s. Green's typically around the 50s. So, lots of Gopher fans in here. Let's go. 5 to 8 day outlook in central Missouri. Let's take a look at this. Ooh. So this weekend could get a little dicey in Missouri. We might see some severe weather risk zones pop up there in the next day or two. What does it mean if the Cape breaks? It's not it's the cap. So Cape and cap are different. Cape, convective available potential energy. So that's how much energy is in the atmosphere for these thunderstorms. Typically, when you have strong Cape, you have really strong updrafts associated with it. So, these storms, you need, for the most severe thunderstorms, you need to have strong updrafts. Why? Because you need to send this moisture high up in the atmosphere and release as much latent heat from that condensation process as you can to continue to fuel severe weather. The CAPE measures basically how strong these. When I see CAPE, I see, okay, we're gonna have we're gonna have very strong upward forcing in this area. We're gonna have good buoyancy, strong updrafts. That's what kind of causes that instability. But when we talk about the cap breaking, what we're talking about is, let me see if I can actually show you on here. Let me see if I can show you on here. Mixed layer sin. Let me show you a good. Let me see if I can show you one where it's capped. I'll show you what it means. I want to. Let me pick one that looks like it could be a good representation of it. Here we go. Let's see if we can get something with some inhibition here. Almost. Let's try out here. Come on. Oh my god, this look. Oh, actually, that was a good one. Wait. Okay. This is kind of good. This is a little bit weird. This isn't a perfect sounding for this, but I'll show you what the cap breaking means. Okay. To get a thunderstorm to develop, Ohio might see a little bit. Yeah, Ohio might see a little bit of severe weather on Wednesday or Monday. Talk about that in a second. For severe weather to occur, you have to have a parcel of air that is warmer than the atmosphere around it. What's a parcel of air? Who knows? It's just imagine a unit of air, a big region of air, and it needs to be warmer than the environment around it to be able to lift. Okay, warm air is going to rise if it's warmer than its environment. But what happens sometimes is it begins to rise. Okay, so let me show you here. This right here. One second. This right here is our lapse rate. That's the temperature of the atmosphere as we go up. Okay, so we're down here at the surface at 1,000 millibars. This is 100 millibars up near the tropopause, the top of the troposphere, where all the weather on planet Earth happens. 99.9% of it. Look, this thing, right? You need to be warmer. You need to be warmer than the atmosphere around it. But sometimes you have moisture rising, and it'll get just. I actually said that backwards. Sorry. It'll get just cooler as the parcel rises. It gets to a certain elevation, or it gets to a certain height, and it'll actually end up not being. It'll suddenly become not warmer than the environment around it, and then that parcel of air stops rising. That's a cap on the atmosphere, meaning these thunderstorms are starting to develop, and then suddenly the parcel of air is not warmer than the environment anymore, so nothing happens. But sometimes what happens is as the day moves on, and there's a bunch of different reasons this can happen. Sometimes it's the daytime warming. That cap will hold, the cap will hold, the cap will hold. Then we'll get into 11, 12, 1 p.m. Suddenly that parcel of air warms up just enough. It becomes warmer than the environment around it again. And boom. Now that's kind of like a loaded gun scenario where, I can't say that on TikTok, but where it really wants to explode with instability, and these thunderstorms want to explode, but there's a cap. But then you get a little bit more warming on that parcel of air, or the atmosphere around it cools, which happens sometimes as we push into the evening hours. The sun goes down, the atmosphere cools, but that parcel of air stays warm. And then boom, that parcel of air explodes up into the air with all the moisture, and you get a big, big explosion of thunderstorms. That's when you can go from blue skies to thunder and lightning in 30 minutes. So the cap is saying that's all it is. That's all the cap is. And when there's what's called a conditional setup with tornadoes, where you say, this happened, I forget, it was last week in Oklahoma, where they were like, if the cap breaks, if this parcel of air is able to get warmer than the atmosphere around it, at this time, it's going to be a bad, severe weather day. We could see a lot of tornadoes. But if the cap doesn't break, we might not see anything. And that's what we call kind of a conditional setup, where it's really, there's some days where the cap's not going to be there. There's some days where you're like, okay, no, this storm's going to be capped all day. We're not going to get severe weather. But there are days when you have no idea if the cap's going to break or not. And those can be very dangerous days, because if this suddenly shifts like this and it allows that parcel to be warmer, it's bad. Yeah, if the cap breaks, if there's a lot of cape, meaning your cape is what's between here and here. What's between the this is your lapse rate, and this is your parcel. So what's in between this is your cape, convective available potential energy. And that's a lot of cape, guys. That's a lot of cape. But if you have a cap like you do right here, all this cape is useless because the atmosphere is holding all that cape in check. But you could get a little bit of warming during the day and boom, it snaps. And then it's anyone, yeah, then it's tornadoes everywhere, right? it's interesting. Pam, what's going on? Rochelle, what's up? Alex. So cap is really important when it comes to these severe setups. What's gonna happen with the capping on the atmosphere? And yeah, guys, right now a lot of people asking about severe weather moving forward. We got a little bit of there's not much of a severe threat today, tomorrow. There's a little bit of a severe threat on Monday out here, northeastern Ohio Valley and into the northeastern region. This, to me, doesn't look too dangerous. I don't know if we're going to even have any sort of, tornado threat with this right now. It doesn't look like we will, but we'll see. Things change. This is a slight from the SBC. Dew points don't look crazy on this. There's not much cape there either. So, right now, I don't think it's too big of a worry. But we'll have to pay. I would stay weather alert if you're out in that region on Monday. If there's big time tornadoes where Dixie Alley is, then is there going to be big tornadoes in Tornado Alley? Well, they typically favor a region with each severe weather event. So sometimes you can have a big outbreak in Tornado Alley, and then the next day that outbreak shifts east and then hits Dixie Alley. That actually is what happens. You're not going to have something in Dixie and then go back and hit Tornado Alley. So our weather moves east in the northern hemisphere. Yeah, So if you got a tornado outbreak in Tornado Alley, a lot of times that'll shift east. Yeah. Kind of want to look at some of this. 1 second, guys. I want to look at some of this cape again. This could be an interesting day. A little bit of cape up in Iowa on Friday. There's probably some things that don't make this a bad day, though. Let's take a look at this sounding in Iowa on Friday. Oh, this would actually be Thursday evening. Lots of surface cape. No surface shear helicity. So you need some wind shear and you need some rotation at the surface for, that's why it says possible hazard type none. No rotation on this. You can see there's really no directional shear at all. All these winds are steady moving westerly. Oh, these are westerly winds. So big. I appreciate that, Pam. Thank you, Pam. Shout out, Pam. I'm happy to be back. Thank you. That was actually cool. You've got a cap here, too. Big cap. Big cap here. So. I know. Yeah. If I haven't seen one, it always comes from you. Yeah, cap is good. Yeah, there's cap here. Again, here's your parcel of air. And I literally said it backwards earlier. I'm sorry, guys. My dyslexia hits sometimes. This is the temperature of your atmosphere as it rises. So up here, your parcel of air is much warmer than your actual atmosphere temperature, this is a lot of energy for thunderstorms. But none of that matters up there if at the surface you can't get the moisture to rise. Look at the surface. Your atmosphere is warmer than your parcel of air. You see how this is your atmosphere is warmer than your parcel of air, which means that that's not enough instability to ignite these storms. Now, if this changed and this red line went to the left of this white dotted line, then that'd be the cap breaking, and you could have a big day in Iowa on Thursday. But right now, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. This looks super complicated. I'm way behind. It's actually way easier than you think. Soundings were scary to me at first, but it's like most of the stuff on the screen doesn't matter. It's only a few parts you need to look at, really. Well, it all matters, but there's some way more important parts than others. Yeah, no problem, Javier. Well, yeah, Pam, I didn't post for like 3 days or go live for 3 days. Which is not me. This is pivotal weather. It's pivotal weather. St. Louis looks pretty okay. It's pretty severe weather free until potentially as we get into late this week. That's still a question there, though. Again, as we get into the 19th and 20th time frame here, we're going to see, I think, a 6-7 day kind of risk zone event out east. I think we're going to see a lot of severe weather to end off April. The GFS and Euro just kind of agree on that time frame. The Canadian does sort of as well. So many go Gophers. So many Gopher fans in here. Oops. Oh, I got to get back down to the bottom of this. Where's our action going to be on Friday? Here's what the Euro likes Friday morning. Oops, let's get into this. Here's what the Euro likes Friday afternoon. Pretty clear skies for everyone, except for a little bit of action up here. Up to the northeast. A little bit of snow coming into the southern Rockies. A little bit of rainfall down in SoCal and Arizona. So, most of the east looks pretty good. I appreciate the follows, guys. Thank you. Salim, what's going on? Yeah. Yeah, I normally would never take a few days off like that, but there wasn't too much going on weather-wise. I could only talk about nice days so much. What's going on, JC? Is JC? Jackie? Missouri here. Missouri looks good. I mean, again, we'll see what happens. This is an interesting look for you guys on Thursday. Interesting look. Some thunderstorms. Does this look severe to me? Maybe, but not too severe. Let's look at our dew points on Thursday out there. Pretty weak. Actually, not terrible. Not terrible in Missouri. Actually, not terrible in Missouri. We'll see if they put it. They might put a little bit of a. They might put a slight categorical risk over Missouri on Thursday. Please tell me we aren't going to get more rain in Kentucky. Let's look at our total quantitative precipitation over the next 5 days. Not much. Not much for Texas. The green's only like a quarter inch of rain. So not too bad. Not too bad. Guys, I realized that the new season of Black Mirror came out today. I really want to watch it. I love Black Mirror. Yeah, you know, NTX. Okay, I want to talk about this on stream. You guys want to hear something cool? I think I can talk about it. There's a really potentially Oh, Doug, I want to you might find this interesting too. You just started Black Mirror. It's good. Black Mirror is good. Every episode is it's just crazy. The thing that's scary about Black Mirror is all the scenarios, they make scenarios that are crazy, but they're not like most of them are like, well, you'd feel like it actually could happen in our world. Like they don't make it too crazy. Like that's what's scary about it is they make it realistic enough where you're like, oh crap, that could literally happen to our civilization. Yeah, it's on Netflix. So good. Every season, there's a total of probably 30 episodes out through 4 seasons or whatever. I don't know if I've ever watched an episode that I haven't liked. Every single episode, Pam, is its own story. It's like one of those shows where like every episode is a different story. So it's really easy to watch. You don't have to like you could literally watch like the fifth episode in the second season because they're all their own story. So you can start wherever. Yeah, every episode is basically um just like a crazy scenario that could happen in our civilization. Like there's one where like the world in like 30 years is run on like your social media or your social yeah, like how many followers you have and how many likes you have online. And if you don't have a lot of followers and likes, you're basically poor. And if you have a ton of following, then you're rich. You use it as like a currency, and our world just becomes obsessed with becoming influencers, and everyone's fake. And every episode is about some crazy thing that like actually could happen to us, and they're all like wild to watch. But they have good actors, and they're each one is its own like fiction story. Okay, well, I want to tell you guys this. You'll find this interesting. There's this radar program called WSV3, and everyone's been using Radar Omega, and every time there's a severe weather outbreak, Radar Omega's been lagging, and it just doesn't. There's some more things that I want to do, and Radar Omega doesn't do it. So Matt was looking for some new radar, like a new radar we could use, new software. And he found WSV3. And I was like, this has some potential. This can do some really cool stuff. So I downloaded it and I was playing with it. And it's a little laggy, whatever, but it has so much potential. And then I saw that the guy, Paul, who's the like founder and head developer of the app, is you can't create an account on your iPad for Radar Omega. That seems weird. I have it on my iPhone. It's the same thing if it's Apple. But yeah. Anyways, I saw that they're releasing like a new version at the end of the year, and so I emailed Paul, the developer, and I said, I'd love to do a partnership with you. I would love to get access to this thing before it comes out or as soon as it comes out, because it looks incredible. It looks incredible. The version 6 WSV3. He's calling it like tactical mesoanalysis something. And basically he said that he scrapped the entire original WSV3, and the new one that he's creating is going to revolutionize it. It's going to send shockwaves through the industry. And he sent me some images and some stuff that they've been working on, and showed me some of the capabilities that they're working on, which I'm not going to share because I don't know if they want that out there. But I was mind blown. I was like, your radar's actually going to be able to do this? Like, and you can see some of it already, but it looks incredible. He's trying to have it released at the end of this year in December. That's their release date right now, unless it gets delayed. And I may be able to get my hands on it on an early version this summer. So that's the conversation I had with him, and I was like, he's really cool. He's a genius. The dude's a genius. He developed it, and yeah, they have some other stuff that they use. But as soon as I get my hands on that, guys, I'm gonna show you, and it's gonna change. It's gonna make Radar Omega look like paint compared to like Photoshop, or like Radar Omega would be like iMovie, and this new weather radar is like Adobe Premiere or something. Like it's just it's on a whole another level, graphics wise, capabilities wise, like the access it has. It's basically going to be as powerful as what some of these people use on major news stations, but it's going to be like kind of, it's going to be able to run on crappy computer. He's making it extremely efficient, so it's not GPU heavy. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. Doug, I will. They're thinking about giving some people early access to it, and I'll let you, Doug. If I get it, I'll let you know, and I'll see if they can hook you up just so you can at least see it. I've seen some early stuff they've been working on though. He sent me some pictures and some stuff, and I was like, whoa, this thing looks awesome. I've never seen a radar app or weather software that can do what it does. And it's not just one that's like, a lot of these do really well with the US because we have like our weather balloons and everything. But this thing is like a high definition satellite across the globe too. Like, it's crazy. Oh, there's something I really want to tell you guys that it can do, but I just don't think I'm allowed to. Oh my gosh. There's one feature that they're programming into it that is it literally is game changing. It's gonna be amazing. So we'll hopefully know about that soon. It's coming out this year, December, but I should be able to get my hands on it early. All right. Yes, Santi, I talked about it in Discord a little bit. It's gonna work. It should work on everything, but we'll see. Saturday rain in Philly. Let's go to our 12Z. Things could change on this. It does look like we might have some we could have some thunderstorms in the region this weekend out in Philly. We could. Oh, Confused Blonde. Just go on Discord and add me as a friend. Connor's Climate Corner. The same as I spell it here. Connor's Climate Corner HQ. And I'll add you into the Discord. Yeah, once we get into this weekend, things are going to start looking crazy out east. I'm going to show you guys something real quick. I want to show you guys something. Is this the new version? Reviews, learn more. Let me show you guys something real quick. This is him. Oh, full screen unavailable. Oh, man. Why? Don't do that to me. Hold up, guys. One second. Hold up, guys. I want to show you something real quick. I'm allowed to show you what he posted online. I know that. Okay. Can I get this on here? I'll show you guys tomorrow on my stream tomorrow. I'll get the video so I can show it to you. How's Kentucky looking? You guys are gonna be mind blown when I show you what it can do. Usually I get up every morning and I look at the new models and what's going on over the next 5, 6, 7 days. You guys are asking me questions, and I took a 72-hour break from weather, and I'm like, you know what? What does Kentucky look like this week? I usually don't take breaks like that. I'm usually literally staring every day at updated models. Kentucky looks pretty good though. Kentucky looks pretty good, but as I said, with the rest of the Central Plains out east, we'll say getting into the 19th and out, we have to watch some. I think we're gonna get risk zones spread out all over the east. If we're talking about the next 5 days, Kentucky looks pretty good. Yeah. NTX, all subs and subs on YouTube and members or members on YouTube and subs on TikTok get access, but sometimes I just add people. So sometimes I just add people. You can add me as a friend if you want on Discord. Connor's Climate Corner HQ. Texas for next week? You talking like 8-9 days out? Pretty long time. Looks like a lot of severe weather out in central and eastern Texas next week. Yeah, I agree, Pam. Yeah. Go ahead, Casey. New Hampshire next week. Again, guys, I don't want to give you like these 8-9 day forecasts. This too much is going to change. I can tell you what like the Euro model showing next week. The Euro being a pretty good mid to long range model, but it's not going to be that accurate over 7 days out. Yeah, I agree, Pam. Unfortunately. Don't mention outbreak. The NWS or SPC hasn't even hinted. You know what I haven't looked at in a little bit? CSU. Wonder what their long range forecast is here. Day 3 to 8. Yeah, look at this. Look at the CSU. They've got day 8s. Day 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at this day 5. Ooh. This day 8 is right over Philly for the target area. Really close. This day 7's huge too. The CSU knows what's going on here, guys. The CSU knows what's going on. See? CSU's already calling this thing starting to fire up, so. The CSU, I should say. All right, yeah, here, let me look at it. Do I? I do. Let's see. Can I get you in here? All right, I invited you. Once you accept, I have to change your role in there. SBC should come out with the risk everywhere. They should just put a marginal. They should just put a day 7 marginal across the whole East, I think. Central Plains out East. I think the SPC, if I was the SPC for day 8, I would just have a marginal like this. Ready? Marginal. Just to get ahead of it. Not go too crazy with the slight or anything, you know. Not get crazy. But, or enhanced or anything. I think things are going to start getting interesting on the day 7, day 8. I do. Yeah. Well, Pam, I mean, I've been on there updating some stuff, but yeah. I'm going to be really active on it this week because I think we have a big setup ahead of us. You know? And as much as I don't want people to deal with severe weather, gives me something to do. What does unstable Cape look like for Monday? Can we look at soundings? What, for this Monday? Sorry. For this Monday? Not too bad, see? $1,200 joules per kilogram. 1,200 joules per kilogram of Cape out here in eastern Ohio. Tons of inhibition, though. This thing isn't going to do anything. I think we got to go a little bit farther east to have any sort of potential for some bad severe weather. Let's look up here in Pittsburgh. No surface Cape. Very low surface shear as well. There's a little bit of potential here. There's a little bit of potential. I think West Virginia, northeastern Kentucky has some potential here for severe weather. Yeah, I mean this isn't bad. Yeah, that's not a bad sounding up there in northeastern Kentucky. You can actually see the sounding actually has a marginal chance for a tornado. What's going on, Andrea? This is nothing crazy though. I don't think Monday's going to be too bad. Stay weather alert if you're out there. I always say that. Things change quickly. I never want to tell anyone like not to be worried. I also don't want to tell you to be worried. I would just say pay attention. But if you want my opinion right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be too bad. That's Monday. What's going on, Feds? FK, I appreciate you. Hey guys, for anyone out east who's ready for to get out of these cold temps, look at our 8 to 14 day temperature forecast or probability outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. Yeah, baby. Time to heat it up. Yeah, because I'm out here in the mid-Atlantic, and it has been so cold. I swear for the last 2 days, I feel like I'm in a steam room, but a cold steam room. Because there's just so much cold rain just floating around in the air. It's not even raining. You just walk outside and you're just freezing and wet. It's like that Seattle weather. Mama Michelle. We have a chance of strong, severe storms north of Pittsburgh. The more south is a better chance. Yeah. Yeah. Here's the day 3. Here's our probabilistic. To me, I think this area, that southern portion, looks to have the most kind of instability there, but it's not much still. Not much still. We'll get our day 2. We'll get our 4-panel day 2 outlook tomorrow from the SPC, though. That'll be nice. I think Iowa will get some sort of severe weather in late April. Or I think most people out east will get some sort of severe setup late April. This is our Monday outlook. 5%, 15%, categorical. This is basically your the darker greens. You're a 1 out of 5 severe threat. The yellow's a 2 out of 5. For the person who asked. How's the winds in PA looking Monday? It's good. That's a good question. Let's look at that. Let's look at our gusts. Here's as we get to the afternoon hours. Not too bad. Look at Tuesday though. Look at Tuesday evening. They're pumping Tuesday evening through this whole region. Get some gusts up there over 50 miles per hour. What's going on, Julie? How's next weekend for Easter looking? Wait, why is this not showing me my calendar? What the heck is going on? Is it next weekend? Oh, it is. I mean, it's going to be tough. This isn't going to be perfect, but we'll take a look out there. Right now, the Euro wants at least the Northeast to be pretty calm on Easter, to be very calm on Easter, which is really nice. But we could see a big severe weather outbreak through portions of the plains and Ohio Valley out here. This is kind of western, but portions of the Midwest. This is going to be interesting. That'd be a bad Sunday for you guys, I think. Or not so enjoyable one. Sorry. typically with oceans, there's a big debate over whether it's changing currents or that affect surface warmth more, or or it's your winds, your trade winds. Um, from everything I've seen and studied, it's more agreed upon that these winds that blow the warm water off the surface typically cause is the bigger reason for upwelling. So yeah, shifts in wind, because we did set like some global average temperatures or some global high temperatures records last year, like 11 months straight. So you would think, well, the oceans just have to be warmer. Why are some portions of some oceans not warmer? It has to do with surface winds and surface winds over the ocean blowing some warm water into other areas and allowing for that upwelling. Yeah. Um, and warmer waters overall, warmer air and warmer waters overall across the globe is going to lead to more wind. It's going to lead to more thunderstorms and more wind in some areas where it typically isn't. So it can cause a little of, yeah, that's interesting. I always say this too. You know, people have argued that like there's never going to be snow again in the South because of, global warming, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, the average global temperature rises by 1 degree. You're across the entire globe. You're putting so much more moisture into Earth's atmosphere, and the snow line's barely moving. Where snow can fall is barely moving, but you're just adding so much more moisture. I said that at the beginning of this year. I was like, I didn't know we were going to get a foot of snow along the Gulf like we did this year over winter. But I was like, you guys are still going to get blizzards in the South. Because people were like, we're never going to get snow in the South. I was like, hey, that's not true. You'll still get blizzards in the South. Maybe they'll be less frequent, but you're still going to get them. My whole life, there'll still be the opportunity for massive snowstorms in the South. The snow line isn't moving that quick with global temperature rise because, the global temp has risen by, 2 degrees in 100 years? But there's a lot more moisture in the air. There's a lot more energy in the air for storms. Does that setup on screen affect Louisiana? We'll have to see how Louisiana gets involved in this. Like I said, when you see this just explosion of thunderstorms as we enter the end of April, I think everyone's going to get involved in it. But when we're talking about like over the next 5 days, in the immediate future is not too much severe weather. We're talking about as we get into late this weekend and then on through the rest of April. I think most states out east are going to be involved. Tomorrow, outbreak game, we could do it. No, there's a lot of things that decide if how warm the Gulf is going to be. The more thunderstorm action that you can produce over the Gulf, it'll typically cool it, just like when a hurricane moves over the Gulf. That's going to cause a ton of upwelling. When you've got a ton of evaporation consistently and a ton of thunderstorm activity over the Gulf, it'll cool itself. Sometimes you just get a high pressure system, which we've had a lot of lately, sitting down there over Florida or off to the east of Florida, and you get that water down there in the Gulf is just allowed to bake without any sort of massive evaporation event taking place, causing upwelling or causing a bunch of winds to move water off the surface. So the Gulf's been allowed to just have its. The Gulf's been allowed to. You can see the high pressure even here as we're watching. It's just allowed to bake when you're not getting any sort of thunderstorm activity down there. So typically if we're seeing a week or two of a ton of thunderstorm activity down here, your Gulf's gonna during that period of time begin to cool. But right now the Gulf is baking. It's gonna continue to bake. You're not seeing many disturbances down there. It's gonna continue to bake. And then we're going to have this, what looks to be a potential big, a big event of severe weather as we head to the end of April. And because our Gulf's going to go kind of undisturbed for a while, this is going to feed into ridiculous, I think, dew points up here to the north at the end of April. There's going to be a lot there's going to be a lot of energy down here to pull off the Gulf. I think we're going to get 70s pretty far north. 70 dew points pretty far north. I think that's what what's our 12Z euro looking like. Yeah, you're seeing high 60s. Close. We'll see. I think the euro overestimates, or well, actually, I think the euro underestimates Cape and dew points. I think these will be high 60s. I think you could get some 70s up here. They say, yeah, April. They say April and May is Louisiana tornado months. Well, we typically see the most tornadoes every season in May. On average, May is the biggest tornado month. Just in general. Malik, for the rest of April, we're gonna be calm for most people through this week. And by calm, I mean we're not expecting any severe weather outbreaks. Maybe a little bit of severe weather, but. And I think as we get into the 19th and 20th, we're gonna see almost severe weather through the rest of April, all the way through the 30th, for different regions. Nor the higher the dew points. Okay, just think about it like this: the higher the dew point, the more moisture content that's going to be in the atmosphere there. Moist air is more buoyant than dry air, and to create thunderstorms, you need air that's able to lift the water droplets with it. So when you have a bunch of moist air that's very buoyant, your lifting capabilities there, and you have the opportunity for a lot of this water to move up into the upper atmosphere, condense and develop your thunderstorms. So when you see these very high dew points pushing north, you're going to have the ability for a lot of thunderstorm activity very far to the north, and potentially strong thunderstorm activity. So there's a lot of things we look at when it comes to, there's a lot of things that drive severe weather. You need clashing air boundaries, typically, whether it's moist air and dry air, cold air and warm air. You need that. You need moisture. This is our moisture. For tornadoes, you need wind shear and helicity. You need that's what causes that. That's your rotation. You need rotation in the atmosphere. But you can get very, very severe storms without tornadoes, just with having high dew points and clashing air boundaries. But once you start getting wind shear in there as well, then that's when you start looking at potential tornadoes. Did less winds cause 2023 and 2024 record heat? Heat can cause more wind, but wind, I don't think I wouldn't say it's the other way around, that more wind, it's like the more heat, it depends. Heat is energy for storms, so I think you can relate more wind. If you have more heat, you're probably gonna have more wind, but I wouldn't say if you have more wind, you're gonna have more heat. Wind is actually more associated with cooler air, like low pressure systems. Do you think this summer will be colder than average? It's been colder in Ohio this month. It's been colder in the Mid-Atlantic, like January, February, March, and April, than it's been the coldest start to a year that we've had in the Mid-Atlantic for like 20 or 30 years. No, I don't expect that trend to continue. I think we're going to have a pretty hot summer. Above average. We know it's going to be hot, but above average. Farmer says Kentucky will be hot and rainy. Listen, Farmer's Almanac there's no science to it. It's like they just make stuff up for fun. um, I forget what it was. The Farmer's Almanac. I think was it the. It's been wrong about something like 8 out of the last 10 years. What was it? I forget what it was. I think it was like how cold the winter was going to be, or how long the winter was going to last, or something. Farmer's Almanac is. I think it's fun to look at, but it's wrong more than it's right. Will Minnesota see severe weather soon? You could. I mean, I was just showing those dew points, right? This would be severe weather up there in Minnesota. This is very far out in our model, but we're looking at some pretty far north. When you start to see this, when you start to see dew points stretching up here, up and getting up into the 60s, trying to approach the mid 60s up in Minnesota, you could bet you could get some strong thunderstorms up there. Yes. But there's plenty of time for this type of stuff to change. Claire, what's going on? Yeah, they got the past 3 winners 100% wrong. Yeah, I think it's their winner predictions. They've gotten it wrong like 8 out of the last 10 years or something like that. How can you tell April 20th end will be severe? Well, I can't tell you for sure. What I can tell you is there are 3 global models that see a severe trend as we get towards the end of April. The Canadian, GFS, and the Euro. And once you start getting model agreement, they're taking in the same data. They just have an algorithm that it feeds through, so they spits out slightly different information. But there's model consensus. Once you get model consensus, they're all seeing something that's making them say, "Ooh, we expect a lot of severe weather at the end of April." And once you get enough model consensus, there's a pretty good chance that it happens. The CSU, Colorado State University, very, very, very good at this stuff. They here you go. They see just a train of severe weather. Look at this. Day 5, really starting day 6, day 7, day 8. They see this severe weather activating as well as we push towards like the 18th, 19th, 20th. We have a good pattern setting up to promote a lot of instability across the U.S., Central Plains and out east. Specifically, we're seeing our dew points just explode over the region. We're gonna have some winds that look like directionally they're gonna be really helping to pull a lot of moisture in, and we'll have a lot of heat content here as well. So. Wait. Nashville here, so over this spring. You guys are having a little bit of a break right now. Right? Let me see here. 1 second. I've had my tornado warning this year. I'm done. Your 1 tornado warning. Let me do something real quick. 1 second, guys. One second, guys. There we go. I have not had any tornado warnings this year. I think that might change, though. Purdue Alex, I appreciate you guys. It took me days to recover from last Wednesday night, over 40, and can't miss sleep. Was last Wednesday our big... Oh, God. Time flies when you're having fun, guys. Like, when was that big day? What day was that on? What day was that on? when we had the major outbreak. Yeah, April 2nd. Yeah, April 2nd. Wow, it was already 10 days ago. Doesn't feel like it was 10 days ago. I don't think we're going to see that. I don't think we're going to see that to end April. I hope we don't. I don't think we will, though. But I think we're going to see some pretty aggressive severe weather to end April. Got up to 90 degrees today in Denver, Colorado. Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna have a cool down though. We're gonna get a ridge setting up out east, and you're gonna get some good cold air. I'll likely move it in towards you guys as we push through. As we get into next week, see these temperature anomalies. 24 degrees below average. So you guys should cool down. Let's look at Sunday out there in Denver. These are some pretty cold temperatures for late April. Yeah, you guys will be cooling down a little bit. Yeah, Maine has been. You guys look to stay. Pretty below average for a little bit here. I saw you guys got more snow. Yeah, I mean the Euro doesn't see a consistent warm up for Maine until like the 26th of April. It's showing you guys no love. I know. I always want snow when it's hot, and then when we're like halfway through winter, I'm like, all right, we can take the heat back. Yeah, I want to watch. I'll probably get off here. We'll have a little bit more to talk about tomorrow. I think the SBC may give us some a thread out here tomorrow to talk about. And we'll have a little bit of information. We'll have our HRRR. We'll have our short ranges on our day 3 threat, on our Monday threat, which I want to see. That'll be a day 2. So we'll get into that tomorrow. I'm going to watch the first episode of Black Mirror, I think. I'm gonna watch the first episode of Black Mirror tonight. I'll let you guys know what I think about it. No problem. Everyone have a good night. I will be posting and getting on live tomorrow. That's what you're doing? All right, Pam. We can give each other our opinions in the Discord. It doesn't look too bad for Ohio, Nora, but I'll talk about it more tomorrow. If there's any updates, I'll let you know tomorrow, Nora. Right now, it's not looking like too big of a threat for Ohio, but we'll discuss it tomorrow. Yeah, all right, everyone. Have a good night. See you guys. Oops, let me do this. Later.